Hello, everyone. My name is Star, and today I will be talking about my experience with depression. So before I get into this, depression is basically a mood disorder, and while for normal people their dopamine levels are normal, people with depression have lower dopamine levels, which can result in numbness, emptiness, sadness, anger, um, over or under eating, not being able to take care of oneself very well, lack of motivation, suicidal thoughts, self harm, um, anxiety, which I am also diagnosed with anxiety, but I'll make a different video on that. Um, but like, depression runs in my family, so almost everyone in my family has depression, myself included. I have depression, I have persistent depressive disorder, which is the type of depression I have, which basically means I have one of the most severe cases of depression. Um, I manage my depression through antidepressants and anti anxiety pills as well as vitamins because, excuse me, a lot of people with depression have vitamin deficiencies as well because their brain and their body don't make the right chemicals. So that's why you see so many people with depression taking so many vitamin supplements because a lot of us have vitamin deficiencies. Um, I already explained the more gritty and not like gritty and disturbing and graphic part of my depression in my experience in both a pro self harm community and how I got addicted to self harm video. I'd recommend giving those two a look before you watch this one. But when my depression started, it started the minute I hit puberty. Although I did have a little bit of depression as a kid, but not to the point where it was debilitating, if that makes sense. It started developing, I think, the first time I've had thoughts of my parents and my friends and family would be better off without me was when I was 8 years old, I think, because I've noticed that I couldn't keep up with my peers. Because of my disabilities, I am developmentally delayed. So, right now, in this moment, yes, I am in the body of a 20-year-old person, but my brain is like 15, 16, while everything else biologically developed normally. My brain did not. Intellectual disability can cause depression too, and so can autism, because the world just wasn't made for us. We need more accessibility and more accommodations. A big part of my autism is auditory hypersensitivity, which is why you almost always see me wear headphones in my videos, because I have such severe sensory issues. But like when I was like 8 years old, I remember I like started to realize I'm different from everyone else and that I'm not able to do certain things that other people are able to do. And I couldn't even eat properly. And like I remember I was like I very vividly remember sitting in my room and I was like, maybe I was born this way. Maybe I was broken and maybe I wasn't good enough. I was 8 years old when I started thinking those kinds of thoughts of I'm not good enough, I should not be here, I'm worthless, I'm stupid, all those kinds of thoughts. And it's more common for autistic people to have really early symptoms of depression a lot earlier in life. Typically 8 to 12 years of age is when a autistic person might show characteristics of other really serious disorders such as depression or anxiety or like OCD or bipolar disorder. Um Most people with autism do end up getting diagnosed with bipolar disorder because with all the neurons in the brain firing at once, it could cause massive mood swings. And some autistic people can even have manic episodes because of how fast their brain is firing too many neurons at the same time. Basically, imagine a computer overheating. That's what a autistic person's brain is like. A computer that's trying to process all this information but can't always process it all and ends up overheating, and then once it like shuts down, that is when the depression hits. It's basically how my brain works. My anxiety triggers my depression, and then my depression triggers my anxiety, and it's just a very vicious cycle of like what the hell is going on, basically. But yeah, I was 8 years old, and I remember also starting to develop self-image issues at that time too, and it started off with just my stomach. I would sometimes go up to mirrors and look at my stomach and think like, wow, I look really fat. And then I started getting acne at like 8 or 9 years old. So then I started becoming insecure about my face. I was like, wow, I look like I got hit by a truck. And I I felt so angry and numb and depressed. And I have more of the anger side of depression and more of the sadness side of depression, but I also have the numbness as well, and the suicidal tendencies and non-suicidal self-harm. Um but I remember like I didn't understand what was wrong with me at the time. I just thought I was really sad when I was a kid, but now as a adult, I was like, wow, those were very clear warning signs of depression, and I wish my doctors caught it earlier in my childhood because I literally had everything I ever wanted ever since I was a kid. But for some odd reason, I was always depressed. And I never knew why. I thought that I was broken. But it turned out I just have a dopamine deficiency, apparently. um, I Depression is both a dopamine and serotonin deficiency, which is why take a really fucking strong sleeping pill. Like it kicks in within like 15 minutes. And the reason why I have to take that is because insomnia is a very big symptom of depression. There was one of the worst periods of my life was like two of the worst periods in my life was 2016 and 2020. So like in 2016 it started, the insomnia wasn't super bad. It was pretty mild. I could just like take over the counter sleeping pills for it and I would be fine. And that's what I did at the time. That's when my mom was like, okay, we're gonna get some over the counter shit. And I'm like, all right, mom. But basically, I started having very mild insomnia. And then it eventually went away and I was able to sleep normally. Excuse me, for 3 years. And 3 years later, the pandemic hit, and my insomnia had gotten so bad to where I would go like 1 or 2 weeks without sleeping. And insomnia is a very big trigger for my psychosis. And lack of sleep can cause hallucinations, and it got that bad. And I remember I would always have delusions of, like, I would actually hear hallucinations of my mom talking shit about me, or my dad saying like he wished he never had me, or like some other family member saying how much they hated me. I'd have hallucinations like that, and I would like, and like that really fucked me up. That really made me more depressed, more suicidal. It made me self harm more. It was fucking awful, dude. I would never wish that upon anyone ever. Depression is a fucking bitch, okay? It is horrible. It's like a little, it's like a shitty roommate in your brain, basically. That's what depression is. That's the way I describe it to people. It's like having a really shitty roommate who gaslights you and abuses you in every way possible. That's the way I would describe it. Um, and in 2016, I did try to kill myself. It was honestly just like out of pure impulse, to be honest. And luckily, obviously, I'm still here. Because like in 2017 I started my channel, and now this is gonna sound kind of dumb, but I'm just gonna say it. Now whenever I do think about committing suicide, I always like see, I like will like look at my phone, and then I'll realize, wait a minute, I have a YouTube channel, I have a purpose. Content creation has given me my purpose in life. It's given me a sense of purpose and a reason to stay, if that makes sense. So pursuing my dream really saved my life, because studies have shown that autistic people are at higher risk for succeeding in killing themselves. And same with other forms of disability. And it's not because we hate living with our disabilities. Most people with disabilities don't see their lives any differently from a neurotypical able-bodied person. Like for me, if you were to spend a whole day with me, and you wouldn't think anything different of me if you really got to spend time with me. Because my lifestyle, I would say my lifestyle is pretty ordinary and pretty average now. I like go out every day and do things, and I occasionally cook and clean. I have a very average lifestyle despite my autism and intellectual disability and vision impairment. I don't know how to explain being blind to someone, because if you're a sighted person, it's one of those things where you won't understand what it's like to be blind unless you have gone through it, if that makes sense. But like a lot of people have experienced depression, which is why it's really easy for me to explain how my depression makes me feel. Because 1 in 3 people have depression, so it's extremely common. It's a extremely common mental disorder. And it's more prevalent in women because women are more vulnerable to vitamin deficiencies for some odd reason. I don't know why we have that huge, why people assigned female at birth have that huge debuff. Like, what the fuck, Mother Nature? Why? Like, dude, I didn't want to be assigned female, let alone have a vitamin deficiency. But, yeah, depression is basically like having a really shitty ass roommate in your head 24/7, screaming at you that you're useless, that you're dumb, that you're stupid, that you shouldn't even be alive. But yeah, depression, aka a really shitty roommate. But that's it for today, guys. My name is Star. Don't let your shitty roommate bring you down, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.